Yes, hello and welcome to Reels in the Round with Ronan and Kirk, and this week featuring SALEM. Yes, so we are live on both Facebook and YouTube.
Nice.
So we will be fielding questions as we go. But
Okay.
Ronan, kick us off.
Well, today, or probably for the next couple of weeks, I am probably going to be known as One-Armed Ronan.
I think I'd be that lame. I can come up with so much better than One-Armed Ronan.
Let's hear it then.
We're going to let it build.
Okay.
It'll get there, Captain Hook. So,
Anyways,
go ahead.
well, for anyone that was wondering or curious, I was mountain biking and I was trying to steer away from a tree, and I did a rookie mistake, front braked, and went over the handlebars, landed on my left shoulder.
How's the tree?
I didn't hit it.
Well, then mission accomplished, really. I think we can chalk that up for a win.
Right? I mean, I got one heck of a scar after surgery.
The idea was to miss
Right.
the tree.
Yeah.
You missed the tree. I think that we should focus on the positive.
And plus, bike's not broken.
The bike's not broken.
No.
So you shattered your clavicle,
Yep.
but the tree and the bike is fine. I think that we're like, again, we're just winning all over the place this week.
More positives than negatives.
More positives than negatives. Good.
Hey, I've also gotten to watch movies and shows too.
So real quick before we move off of your arm in predicament,
Okay.
where were you mountain biking?
Hours in Pennsylvania State Park.
Okay. This is a good place to mountain bike.
That was actually the first time I mountain biked. I'm not sure if the trails were meant for mountain biking, but it didn't say no mountain biking, so we went for it.
Tried something new and you lost your eye.
I mean, all it said was no quads, so we were on bicycles.
So I have a really, do we feel we've learned something from this experience? And this isn't a trick question.
Yeah,
What did we learn?
no front braking.
So I'm going to give you a lot of shit, but I need you to understand something.
Okay.
In 2007, I bought my first motorcycle.
Yeah.
I had never sat on a motorcycle before. It's not like I'd been riding for years. It's not like, I'd grown up riding or I'd had other people's bikes or I'd tried a bike before.
Mhm.
No. I had never sat on a motorcycle. And in 2007, I went and bought a 2007 Suzuki Boulevard C50. Brand new, 7 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
And after completely negotiating with the guy, getting the price to where I want it, getting it going and everything, I sign, ink on the dotted line, all is good. Bike now belongs to me. And I look at him and I was like, okay, so explain the gears to me.
Oh,
Do they go
jeez.
1 neutral 2 3 4, or is it 1 neutral 2 3 4? And he looks at me and he goes like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "No, I really need to know that. I think it'll be really hard to ride if I don't know which direction the gears go." And he's like, "You don't ride?" I was like, "Not yet. You need to tell me how the gears work." So completely white as a sheet.
Yeah.
He was like, "They go up." I was like, "Cool, thanks." Is that so hard? Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
And so he walked me through how the gears worked, and I rode off into LA traffic at 4 p.m.
Jeez.
Have you ever watched any of the old Wile E. Coyote like Roadrunner cartoons?
Yeah.
Where like he doesn't fall off the cliff until he realizes that he's gone off the edge. Like he's being oblivious is what made him not fall.
Yeah.
I made it 23 and a half hours not dying only because I was too stupid to know that I was being stupid. When I think back to what I know people that have been writing for years that wouldn't have done things I did. And the only reason I did them is not because I am an adrenaline junkie or particularly skilled, is because I was too stupid to know that they weren't smart.
See.
Yeah, that night on my first night riding, I went and rode Mulholland Drive, which, if you're familiar, is a very windy road in the hills of Los Angeles. It's very, very dark, and people are it's dangerous for experienced riders.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did that on my first night. First night.
I see.
Totally fine. The next day, the only reason I'm bringing this up is that the next day at 3:30 p.m. on Sunset Boulevard, at about Sunset and Western, for those of you who are familiar with the LA area, that exact thing happened to me. I was driving, and I had only ever ridden a scooter, which only has one brake.
Yeah.
And the brake's on the handle. And so on a bike,
It's on the
front
pedal,
brake,
right?
no, well, the front brake is on the handle and the back brake is on the pedal. But I'd ridden scooters that only had a handbrake, which is both brakes.
Yeah.
So I'm riding an 800-pound bike at about 35 miles an hour, and the car in front of me stops short. I slam down on the front brake and fly over the handlebars in rush hour traffic on my second day, 23rd hour of riding.
Jeez.
Bike was fine, though.
And you
I didn't hit the car.
That's good.
My pride didn't recover fully. Like,
Yeah.
I spilled right in front of a gas station / bus stop at rush hour. So there was about 25 witnesses to this, and they're all like,
You
dude,
okay?
they're like, you gonna be okay, bro? I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna give you crap, but I was 10 years older than you.
Yeah.
That's I was 25 in that story. So I was 25 and did that on a motorcycle. So you doing it on a bicycle, I'll give you crap, but please know that I have no room to talk at all.
I mean, to be fair, I've been doing this like every other weekend for like at least like 3 months now. So
Yeah, no, it was my first day. You made it longer than me.
yeah. Yep.
So let's kick it off here. Let's talk movies. What
Okay.
movie did we watch this week?
This week we watched Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko.
Yes.
I swear this is the thing that inspired FNAF.
Yeah, so I want to actually introduce everyone to Salem real fast. This is Salem. She is my daughter. She is 13 and an 8th
The youngest.
grader, right?
Yes.
Going into awesome artist, going into her freshman year. You're big into Undertale and Five Nights at Freddy's, and as you were watching Donnie Darko, I'm a good parent. Shut up. As we were watching Donnie Darko, you had lots of really interesting comments that neither Ron and I knew what you were talking about, because you speak to a generation. Well, no, you're the same generation.
I was supposed to say I know what FNAF is.
Shut up. Talk to me about Five Nights at Freddy's and FNAF, and what was the other one?
Benjamin Fishing and Undertale.
That one, yeah. You saw Frank, and you talk to me a little about those characters.
Springtrap is. Oh.
You're on television now. So sit up. Be all dignified and shit. Good parent.
So Springtrap is a haunted animatronic haunted by a ghost named William Afton, who was a serial killer who murdered children.
Sometimes you can't blame him, right? Anyway,
Jeez.
And, what he did is that he went into a spring lock animatronic suit and lured in children, 2 of his own, and killed them brutally, and now they haunt animatronics.
so what about Springtrap? What about Springtrap? I mean, pulling such dad moves right now.
You really are.
Yeah, tell me about that, son. Anyway, what about Springtrap was similar to Frank?
They're both killer rabbits.
Well, it's hard to overlook that kind of similarity. But anyway, so walk me through it. We're gonna tag you in a few more times, Salem, but walk me through it.
Okay. Well, it's kind of a bit hard and complicated to do that.
I want to hear you try to tell people what Donnie Darko is about.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be easier to say what I thought of, because I was thinking of different movies when I was watching this.
Okay.
First one being totally forgot. But one of the other ones I thought of was Sinister.
Okay. How is it similar?
Which, have you seen that movie?
No.
So in Sinister, it's the spirit that talks to the children of the families,
Okay.
and they make films of them killing their families. And they,
So a wholesome, uplifting film.
of course,
Cool.
yeah, and
Tuesday.
Just yeah.
yeah, and I kind of compared these two because I thought Frank the Bunny was telling Donnie Darko what to do,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if that is correct or not.
I haven't seen Sinister, but I would absolutely say that Frank was the spirit guide, almost
Yeah.
literally. Not to say that he was a spirit, but he was guiding the spirit. No, I would agree with that.
And
So one of my favorite things. So Donnie Darko came out in 2001, right before I went to film school. So the entire time I was in film school, Donnie Darko was like, "Oh my gosh, man! Have you seen it? It's like so next level." And I will say that I saw it, shortly thereafter, 2001, and I love it. Not just because I like the movie and I think it's good, but because it is such an amazing. sort of litmus test for storytelling. Because one of my favorite things is you find someone who loves Donnie Darko and you say, hey, cool, what's it about? And they're like, oh, haven't you seen it? I was like, no, I have seen it. Tell me what it's about. And they're like, oh, well, I mean, as you know, it's a, yes, finish that sentence. I dare you. Time traveling rabbit. Yes. And strangely, no. It's about the worst plane crash in history. Yes. And strangely, no. It's about a troubled young man who, is he troubled? I mean, he's troubled by the things he's seeing, but like troubled implies that he's crazy, but he's not.
A guy who turns into a wormhole.
It's about a guy who it's about a young teen who travels through a wormhole. I suppose like all of these are correct and also woefully inadequate as to what this movie is about. And I love that. I love that it's actually a brilliant story, but the describing it is basically impossible.
I mean, like one of the I want to say like catchphrases or like ideas. That's probably a terrible term for that too. But kind of like you don't know how to, you haven't mastered a subject until you can teach it.
Sure.
I don't want to say this film kind of portrays into this. Like if you have to like watch it so many, I mean, I don't know how many times you've seen it. You still don't really know what it's about.
I mean, 4 or 5. Like truly. Like, I mean, maybe 6. Like this isn't a movie that I've watched a ton.
Yeah.
I watched it in film school. I've watched it half a dozen times probably.
I mean, like the more you watch it, you might be able to pick up on different clues and hidden messages
and themes and layers.
Yeah. Like that type of thing to be able to master it and like fully understand it.
Sure.
But like if you talk to the director, does he even know what it's about?
I would hope so. But there's no real telling at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kick off. So hold on, Salem. What would you say the movie was about? Exactly. So go ahead, Ronan. What's first slide?
So director Richard Kelly. He's also the writer. The Box, Southland Tales, and Domino.
Have you seen Domino?
No.
I mean, usually the 3 you put up are things that you're familiar with. So
I haven't seen any of these.
I have not seen The Box. Oh, I've heard of Southland Tales. Domino. Wait, which Domino? Because the Domino I'm thinking of, he did not direct. I believe you. I'm just curious if there's a different movie called Domino because
the internet will save the day.
To the internet. Talk amongst yourselves. That was not Janice. No.
What? But Salem. So since you mentioned FNAF, the other movies that I watched recently, new movie that came out that you may also like, since it also portrays FNAF, is Willy's Wonderland.
I am pissed off by Willy's Wonderland.
Have you seen it?
No. Because why on earth would you make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie if you're not just going to call it Five Nights at Freddy's? Like, the Nicolas Cage movie, right?
Yep.
I saw that and I'm like, this infuriates me. Why didn't they spend the extra $4 to license Five Nights at Freddy's? Because it's like, we should watch that movie just so I can be really, really pissed off. Yeah, he did not direct. He did not direct Domino.
He directed a Domino.
He wrote Domino.
Oh.
I was about to say, yeah. So Domino is my favorite Tony Scott film.
I see.
I'm a Tony Scott fan.
Mm-hmm.
He's the story by
I see.
Of Domino. And Domino's amazing. But continue.
About FNAF or
oh yeah, no, let's do FNAF, yeah.
Oh, about like Willy's Wonderland or
sure. Okay. let's take a quick moment to rag on films pretending to be other films, right? Five Nights at Freddy's, which is pretending to be called Willy's Wonderland because they were too cheap to buy the name.
I mean that is another film that I was going to ask if we could bring up onto the show.
I have not watched it, but I will.
Okay.
Only because I should enjoy it. Again, a good parent.
So if we're doing this, if we're doing that movie on our show, just wait for that then.
Okay, cool.
Scare me.
It's not my fault that you have just. Never mind. Probably is my fault.
Okay, so Jake Gyllenhaal and his sister Maggie Gyllenhaal are in this film, played by Donnie Darko and Elizabeth Darko, respectively.
You picked some really interesting characters. So you didn't. Salem, sit up.
I'm trying to
no, that's fine. Sit up. Why do you not have Jenna Malone on here, who's a way bigger character than even Maggie Gyllenhaal or Holmes Osborne? Like, yeah, Jenna Malone's the girlfriend. You don't even have her up here, and she's a star.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched this like when I was making the slides,
Fair
so
enough.
I do have that going for me.
For the record, who is she in The Ring?
And Spirited Away and Lilo.
Oh, she's Samara, right?
Yep.
Oh.
The little sister was Samara. Wow. That's cool. Okay, starting at the top. Jake Gyllenhaal. Nightcrawler, Brokeback Mountain, and Prisoners. Cool. Holmes Osborne.
The Box, Southland Tales, which from Richard Kelly.
Have you seen Identity?
No, I have not.
One of my favorite independent films. So good. We should watch that one too.
Okay.
Super good.
And then Maggie Gyllenhaal, like we said, Dark Knight, Secretary, and Crazy Heart.
Have you seen any of those movies?
Dark Knight.
Have you seen Secretary?
No.
Not a recommendation, but
Okay.
damn. It's crazy. And Davy Chase, as we said, Lilo and Stitch, The Ring, and Spirited Away. I think you're cheating with two of those being animation, but cool. Next up.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just talk filmmaking.
Okay.
Walk me through it. The writing, the pacing, the film, the cinematography. Like, what did you think of the structure and what you talk me?
Well, I guess first thing comes first.
First
What-
things first. Sorry.
The beginning comes first. Talk about the beginning.
I do.
Since you're the
I love it so much.
Since you talked to
nerd.
for 30 minutes.
I wasn't 30. It was more than that. Storytelling is an arc,
Mhm.
and it starts with Once Upon a Time. It always starts with Once Upon a Time, even if those aren't the words. Storytelling starts with the beginning,
Yep.
and that's where you find out where you are. Once upon a time in a faraway land. The first thing you hear in a story is remarkably important, and I've said on this podcast as well as many others that you mess up a story in the first act way more often than you screw it up in the last act. A lot of people are like, I loved this movie, but it ended badly. No, it probably started badly. The first line of this movie,
Mhm.
I think, is probably one of the most brilliant lines in filmmaking. And it's after 4 minutes and 20 seconds of establishing shots. Maggie Gyllenhaal looks to her father and says, I'm voting for Dukakis.
And that's the first line.
That's the first line. I'm voting for Dukakis. And then there's about a 3-minute conversation about the election and the economy. And now in this remarkably unforeshadowy thing, because I hate overt foreshadowing. There's no overt foreshadowing in this film, in this
Mhm.
conversation. They don't talk about anything really important other than they mention Harvard, sort of. But like that doesn't really even play a part in the movie. Like
No.
it's not a foreshadowy but what it does do is it absolutely, to people my age or older, tells you everything you need to know about this family. The movie was made in 2001, takes place in 1988, and it starts with, I'm voting for Dukakis. And that tells you
Everything
so much about who they are financially, politically, socio-demographic. This conversation and the responses of the people in the room,
Mhm.
it's one of my favorite conversations. Not in general, like if it was 20 minutes into the movie, it would be really stupid. But as it is the establishment of these characters, I think it is absolutely one of the coolest things in cinema.
Yeah, because like something that you always tell me all the time is like the first frame. What do you want the audience to know in the first frame?
Right.
And well, they waited like
It's 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
yeah,
They-
but it's same concept kind of.
and visual exposition counts. Like they do a lot of storytelling first, but like you can learn a lot about someone with no words. But that first line, I'm voting for Dukakis, you learn so much about this family this fast. And it's really, really cool. Really cool. But how about you? Like, talk to me about, how did it open? Because you knew nothing about this movie.
No, I did not. I mean, all I saw was a poorly.
Oh, it's a terrible trailer.
Huh?
The trailer?
I didn't watch the trailer.
You did not watch the trailer?
No. Oh, I was talking about the like the cover art, the like
Oh, yeah.
the
The
poster.
rabbit face.
Yeah, the poster, like this terribly like a Party City-esque bunny that you would find there.
Yeah.
That's all I knew going into it.
So walk me through this journey. Like, I so enjoy this journey for you. Walk through it.
So like I said, with films that I kind of connected with what I thought was going to happen, but so another movie that you haven't seen,
Sure.
Hide and Seek,
Oh no, I haven't. I want to though.
Wait.
It's high on my list.
which is one that I've told you about beforehand,
Sure.
and where what comparative to like this movie, the main characters where you think Donnie Darko and Frank the Bunny are different people. In that movie, they're the same person. I thought in this movie, Donnie Darko and Frank the Bunny was the same person,
Yeah.
just talking to himself.
Anytime in a movie you have especially any movie about time travel where you have a mysterious masked character,
Mhm.
it's kind of a good guess to assume that the masked person is the other person.
Yeah.
I just watched Tenet this last weekend.
I watched it too.
This last weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just watched this
like
last weekend.
week, but yeah.
And I will say that the minute there was the scene where the mask got pulled off, and then the Edward Cullen character runs without it ever showing his face, it's like, oh, it's him. Cool. Like, I mean, the minute
Yeah.
it didn't show, the mask came off and it doesn't show the face, like, oh, got it. Cool. Got it. Yep. I'm with you. But yeah, no, yes, I think you're supposed to kind of assume the second you find out about time, it's like, it's going to be Donnie. And it's not. It's not Donnie.
Yeah.
It's Frank.
Yeah, because like with all the voices in the head, I thought it was just make like him telling himself to do that
Yeah.
in a way, and like talking to in the mirror. But then in the movie theater scene, when Frank pulls out the mask.
Yep.
Actually, in that scene, since we were talking about filmmaking.
Yep.
And like all the like twists and turns that were happening. When Frank says, "What are you doing? That stupid human mask?"
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna pull off his face and everything.
Yeah. Like,
But-
what are you doing in that stupid bunny suit? What are you doing in that stupid human suit? Yeah.
It was man suit.
Is it man suit?
That's it.
No, I absolutely, yeah, that's a cool scene because it
Mhm.
again, it's lots of foreshadowing with like, why is his eye bleeding?
Yeah.
Why is what's going on in this scene? So how about the payoff, the giant wormhole, the kind of end, the twists, like through and through? What did you think of the overall story? Even though the story is completely ineffable and completely impossible to explain, what did you think?
I actually really like the story because I mean you know how I am with films.
I do.
As 3 weeks ago you said that I was gonna like this film,
Right?
and yeah, I did because I like the thrillers where you don't know what's happening, but
Yep.
it gives like hints and secrets along the way to the end. Well, this one didn't really give any hints and secrets.
It doesn't, but it also doesn't defy its own trick. Like I hate the ones
Yeah.
where there's a reveal. You're like, that makes no sense. No, this one, it doesn't give you any hints, but it all makes sense as it develops. And it's all, yeah.
Which another thing I was going to bring up was another movie thing that you absolutely hate,
Okay.
where, well, this is kind of it,
Okay.
where the main character or any character was just like, oh, I just woke up from a dream.
This does not do that.
It almost does.
It almost does, but there's a difference between a time loop and a dream. Salem, what did you think of the story?
I thought it was great. I wanted to make several Undertale references,
Please.
but
No, I mean, because the reason I wanted you guys to watch this is that even though this movie was an independent film from 2001, this movie is still subtextually very culturally relevant. As we've already said, there's lots of things from Undertale to Five Nights at Freddy's that are currently still borrowing this imagery, that are still borrowing these tropes, because Donnie Darko really was a very pioneering type film. So talk to me about Undertale. You can be our Undertale correspondent. We go to you live with Salem Westwood, our Undertale correspondent.
so in Undertale, you play as the human Frisk exploring the underground, and they have the power to reset and change everything, because in Undertale there's different stories for everything you do. And so we talk about timelines and like all of this stuff a lot. And when we were talking about the time travel and timelines, I'm like, this seems very Undertale.
Okay. No, I like it.
Yeah.
Have you played Undertale?
No.
I have not either. No, but I like, because I mean I know a lot of people. Undertale's very big right now, and Salem is big on it. That's cool. So what else? Any other cool observations from Frank to the? You made another one. I can't remember what it was. You talked about Frank. You talked about Undertale. There was something else about like the spirits coming from their chests. You made a comment.
Like bubbles. I thought it looked like bubbles. That's like the actual bubble. That's what.
Okay.
Oh yeah, first when I saw like the spirits coming from the chest, I thought of Venom.
Yeah, that's a decent analogy. Okay, so filmmaking, camera angle, sound, like the actual technical. What'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was very weird.
Okay.
In a way where there's just so much songs and lyrics.
Yes.
Especially when nowadays everything under the sun is copyrighted.
Sure.
And how they're able to do that. I was just like, I wonder how much of their budget was spent on getting songs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but it was a very, very, very lyric heavy, sound heavy film.
Because you got some pretty popular songs in there with the lyrics.
Now, I'd be interested because like Mad World at the end, that was made popular by this film, not the other way around.
Oh, I see.
I mean, it was a cover of the 1980s Tears for Fears song, but it isn't the Tears for Fears version. It's a different. It is a cover that was written for this film. I wonder. I don't know the answer. I wonder how much of that is that. Salem, what do you think of like the quality of the filmmaking? Like not the story, but the film itself.
I thought it was nice. I did get really confused.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, anyone who tells you they know what Donnie Darko is about is a liar. Like you can't
like put your phone down and
Salem was Salem was like drawing. I'm like, no, this isn't one of those movies you're really gonna need to watch. Like you're gonna need to keep your eyes on the screen. Keep your eyes on the screen for the like keep your hands and feet inside the car and eyes on the screen at all times. Blink and you'll just get confused.
Really well.
Okay. I love it. I think that it's remarkably, from a technical aspect, really well made. My favorite thing, and I know the answer to the question for the record, but one of my favorite questions with this is, how did this movie get greenlit? You know, filmmakers walk into a group of people and like, I want to make a movie. Great. What's it about? A young man. And he dies. No, let me start again. It's a young man, and he turns into a rabbit. No, that's not true. He meets a rabbit. Yes, he meets and kills a rabbit. Wait, no, that's not right. So there's this time traveling rabbit who meets a young man. That's not true either. You're just going to need to trust me on this one. That's not how that went, but I'm dying to know. I know that the answer is that Drew Barrymore was behind this from the very beginning, and she executive produced it and championed it and brought it to life. But my question is, how did she come across? How was it her? Like, this film is so confusing. I want to know how it was born.
Yeah.
Is it based off a book? I don't know.
I don't think it said it was.
John Paul Verde, a friend of mine. I love Donnie Darko. I love how. Here, hold on. Let me bring it up. I love Donnie Darko. I love how well it goes on filming and showing tropes that build the school and community. That's super true because it plays on the Patrick Swayze kind of like inspirational speaker trope. It plays on the bully trope. It plays on a lot of stereotypes. It plays on a lot of different vibes and things. And it uses these building blocks to build this insane world, but it does it by building it on a lot of cliches. John Paul, that is a remarkably good point.
Yes.
It does play a lot of 1980s cliche cards.
Yes. And then another thing that when you asked about filmmaking.
Sure.
I forgot to mention this, but one of the things I liked about this film, but I don't see much in other movies.
Okay.
I see it a lot more in like YouTube videos.
Sure.
Time warping.
What do you mean?
Like how it just like suddenly goes fast and then fades slow, like time lapse.
Yep. Interesting. Yeah.
I liked how it did that.
It does. It does a lot of fun things with that. This was I don't want to say very early CG. Obviously, we've been doing CG since the early 1980s.
Yeah.
But this was 2001, and it was they were using some kind of cool new uses of CG in kind of a fun way. I really enjoyed it. Let's go into some of the specs.
Okay. Budget $6 million, generated $6.98 million.
Now, so here's the thing: there's a 0% chance that information is correct, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
somewhere on that page it said the date that data was collected, and I'm willing to bet that's the first year or two. Like, I mean, it was like,
I see.
like it was, or in theaters, or because
Yeah.
that movie, I mean, we gave it $10 today. Like, this movie is a cult classic. That number is right. I'm not saying it broke even. It made $1 million. That's probably in the first year or two or three. This film is still unbelievably relevant. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it did way, way better than that. I'm just saying that no, it did better than that. That looks like a meager amount.
It really does. Yeah.
It did better than that. It just took 20 years to do it.
Yeah. Awards 1 ton. It won like a dozen and nominated for another dozen.
Yeah. I mean, every film festival on the planet just heralded it. Like yeah.
And then another thing I found interesting that I didn't put it in here because I didn't know what you would say about it.
Let's find out.
But like you were mentioning about like how false that number was for the how much it generated. In 2016, I believe, it got like best something in a DVD.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Ratings I want to talk about. This film was rated 8 out of 10 on IMDb, 86 on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 71 on Metacritic.
Yes.
So I'm going to ignore the top two because whatever. 71 on Metacritic is insanely high. Like, again, when I used to do my old show, Nerdy News at Noon, we used to every movie we did a full breakdown of, and like 51 on Metacritic is high. Metacritic is just like, they are salty internet trolls. All of them. Every last one. 71 on Metacritic is insane. I would agree with all of those numbers. This is an 86. This is I think IMDb in this particular one is or Rotten Tomatoes, which I hate, is my closest of. I would give this an 86 to 89.
I was gonna say, to be fair, on Metacritic on the website, on like the People's Choice or like the People Score, was a 76.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's still like around like the 80 and all that.
No,
but
so I mean, like, this
still
is
70s.
Like, that is a room, and these days it's really hard to get higher than that unless you're Marvel, and even then, I think that these are solid numbers. Salem, what would you rate it? If you had to give it if you're a teacher and you were grading
out of 10
or out of 100, like, would you give this, what percentage if you were grading it overall? Yes, Mr. Kelly, thank you for turning in your homework. You got an A, B. Are you writing anything on the report card? Like, must speak to your parents?
Contact.
Must eat therapy.
Like, eat more fiber. You're full of. Anyway,
There isn't like an artist anywhere who doesn't eat therapy.
No, I know, but like, honest to goodness, like, what would you give it from a grade perspective? B+. So solid. Yeah. No,
right around there.
I agree. And is this our last slide?
Yeah.
Okay. I really like Donnie Darko, not just because I enjoy the film itself, but because I think the Donnie Darko is it's a treasure trove of conversations, of everything from good storytelling to good filmmaking to it's a treasure trove of anecdotes and conversations, and I think it can be used really well. What do you want to watch next week?
So there's 2, maybe 3 options up for grabs.
Okay.
One is the sequel. Would it be the sequel to this movie?
S. Darko, 7 years later.
S. Darko. That's one of the options.
Sure.
Since we did just watch Donnie Darko.
Yeah. And I've never seen S. Darko, so that would be fun.
The other one was In the Tall Grass.
No. I want to watch that. We've said we will, but not next week. Yeah.
And then Willy's Wonderland. So
I just realized why it's called Willy's Wonderland.
Why is that?
Because the person who's a serial killer and later becomes Springtrap is named Willie Nafton. And
Willy's Wonderland it is.
Okay.
Salem, you're coming next week. Okay, so this has been Reels in the Round with Ronan, Kirk, and Salem. But next week we're watching Willy's Wonderland, or Diet Five Nights at Freddy's. And I think it'll be a good time. Yeah. Anything to send us off, Salem?
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Okay.
I don't know why.
Sure. No, there's no reason. That was a good one.
Sure.
Rona? Any bad dad jokes? Any reasons to fire you this week?
Well, Kirk, why do you think I like video editing so much?
I have no idea. I hate video editing.
Well, to cut a long story short. Anyways, just like in this movie, Donnie Darko, and in Groundhog Day, maybe Happy Death Day as well, we're going to end just like how we began. I've been Ronan, he's been Kirk, Salem's over there. This has been Reels in the Round. We'll see you guys next week.
You look regretful.
That was bad.